In New Mexico, school districts that use teacher attendance as an evaluation performance measure allow 2 absences without penalty, but Las Cruces teachers are entitled to 10 sick days and 2 personal days as part of their union-negotiated contract. Lori Glenn teaches at Lynn Middle School in Las Cruces. She says in her 14 years of teaching, her attendance record has been perfect, but this year she needed to take 12 paid days to care for her mother in Nebraska while she was going through hip replacement surgery.
She's 78 years old, and I'm the oldest daughter, really the only one that's around, available, that could stay with her and spend some time with her.
While Glenn was with her mother in Nebraska, the Las Cruces Public Schools buckled under the Public Education Department's claim that, quote, it is not within the powers of a local school board to adopt any part of a teacher evaluation policy. School board member Ed Frank was outraged.
We were given a memo that came from Hanna Skandera, who was Secretary of Education, and she basically threatened us with being suspended.
Under the plan, the attendance portion of Glenn's evaluation would drop from exemplary to minimally effective. She says leave and sick days counting against teacher performance forces teachers to make heart-wrenching choices.
All my family is out of state. I've never gone back for funerals of extended family members. I've missed a lot over the years, so, because you just can't fly up there and at the last minute and be gone.
In Las Cruces, attendance usually makes up 10% of the teacher evaluation, but the National Education Association says attendance is factored at an even higher percentage for those who teach subjects without standardized test data. Glenn is one of those teachers since she instructs students in culinary arts and special education. New Mexico's Chronic Disease Prevention Council says 1 in 4 people over the age of 45 has been diagnosed with multiple chronic health conditions. In light of the state data, we asked the Public Education Department Secretary to explain the rationale of penalising people who might miss work due to illness or might miss work for taking negotiated leave time, but they did not respond to our request. In the memo sent to the Las Cruces School Board, Secretary Skandera said some illnesses could be exempt from performance evaluations under federal law. But because Glenn thought she had 12 contractually secured leave days, she says she didn't bring back her mother's medical documentation that was required.
To get anything overlooked, you have to jump through a lot of hoops.
School board member Ed Frank says the Federal Family Leave Act still does not stop teachers from being penalised for most illnesses or for taking their personal days.
To penalize them for taking a day off when they're sick makes no sense at all. I mean, you shouldn't want an employee, especially in a classroom situation, when they're sick. They can't do the job. It's not something that they're intentionally doing.
Though uncommon for teachers in New Mexico, 12 days of sick and personal leave is actually comparable to most other state government employees, including those who work for the Public Education Department. Glenn says using teacher attendance to measure performance is unfair, but using student surveys was the only other option offered by the state, and she says that would have been even worse.
I teach students with disabilities and students 11 to 14-year-olds, and they run hot and cold. Some days they love you, some days they hate you, so I'm going to leave a good percentage of my evaluation up to these young children or adolescents that
Ed Frank says he's voting to protect locally negotiated leave. He says it's important for the Las Cruces School Board to take a stand against the State Education Department's demands.
If we assert, the right to do what's just, that it might affect the rest of the state, and maybe that's why they're hunkering down and trying to be aggressive about this. But my motivation is to just try to do what's right in this matter.
But Frank's fellow school board member Barbara Hall says not complying with the State Education Department's demands would be too risky.
We have to follow state law, and the PED indicated that they would possibly come down and take the district, which is not good for local control. We've been fighting to have more local control. Whether
local or state leave policy wins out, teacher Lori Glenn says the amount of leave teachers will take is unlikely to change.
No. I would have done it either way, but it's just too bad that they penalize us for things that we need to do. We need to be there for our family.
Other states are taking a very different approach. For instance, Ohio and Nebraska are two of many states offering financial incentives to teachers who have unused paid leave time. For KRWG, I'm Simon Thompson.